Good day, everybody. My name is Todd Standing. I'm the man who takes people out into the field and has them either live interact with or eyewitness a Sasquatch, and I'm here to talk about precisely that today. One of the most significant things I've ever done besides working and taking John Bitternagel out and having him interact with a Sasquatch, having Jeff Meldrum eyewitness a Sasquatch, PhD professor from Idaho State University. But also, in what I'll talk about today is how Les Stroud, Survivorman, actually got footage on a game camera of a Sasquatch, and it's really undeniable. The videos are doing really well. He's got his Radium episodes. There was 2 times he went out with me in Radium, 2 times in Nordic. So we did 4 episodes of Survivorman Bigfoot together over 2 years, and they were amazing and outstanding. This is just what I do. This is par for the course, and if people aren't getting it through their heads, better start letting it sink in. I take people out and show them Sasquatch. They get interactions with Sasquatch. They eyewitness Sasquatch. I've been doing it for almost 10 years now, and it's not going to stop. This research is growing. The discovery is going to happen. Even for those of us who have doubts and have been working on this discovery for so long, it's coming. It's going to happen. This footage I'm going to show you today was filmed, way back in 2014? Yeah, 2014. And I'm doing way better than that. We're growing and evolving, and it's been amazing. So Survivorman, just after these videos of his, went on Discovery Channel and History Channel and did all their network. He now was able to release them on YouTube. So they're on YouTube here, and they're doing extremely well. They're getting millions of views. Congratulations to him. It's authentic. It's absolutely real. Survivorman is 100% legit. He always has been. No one has ever questioned that. And here, we're going to talk about what happened on that last episode of Survivorman Bigfoot in Radium. And we're going to go through some of the details of it. He's got a director's commentary of the show. I'm just going to get short and sweet and to the point and just hammer it because there's some tremendously significant things that happened. And we're going to go through that today on my Throwback Thursday. So we're doing Todd Standing and his relationship and his work with Survivorman way back in 2013 and 14. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great show. Masters of civilization, my people, sure could learn a lot from the masters of the wilderness, which is who they are.
There's no way that you got sight of a Sasquatch in those areas with those tree breaks, with those tracks, getting those apples taken, with those sounds, all these things.
So what a fantastic episode. So in the first season when he came out with me, I'm just going to talk about Radium specifically. Nordic was outstanding and amazing, but Radium specifically, I'm going to go into those details. So he had incredible interactions the first time. A rock knocking Sasquatch came down, got within, I did a video of it, got within, I don't know, what was it, like 15 yards of him and left the rock that he knocked. It was just incredible. The amazing things that happened. They interacted with him because he's such an amazing guy. He's so connected to the earth. He's so clean. He's so spiritual, and I vividly see that. And I'm not going to talk about that too much today. I think you guys get it. He's just amazing. What he does is fantastic, and he's got an incredible following, and he's damn well earned it. But in the beginning of this episode, he puts out these cams and these traps and stuff. I knew they weren't going to work. You're not going to see me anywhere around that because I had nothing to do with that stuff. It scared me that I think he brought gorilla pheromone or something. That kind of scared me. I don't like messing around with, hormonal Sasquatch. I don't play with that stuff. Fortunately, it didn't do anything, and I expected it wouldn't. But, so you won't see me in the beginning of that, and then he does an overnight with me in the area where I had the flares. If you didn't see that, where I had Sasquatch come around me, and in the first season, we went back there and saw incredible evidence of the breaks and the structures they made for me during that. And he talks about, he has his little off camera where I knew that the Sasquatch came around us that night, and he didn't challenge me, and he mentions that, and he didn't feel like challenging me. It's a good thing he didn't challenge me, because I'll tell you something. Nothing drops things. I'm just going to do a little example. So when something drops something, when a tree drops something or a squirrel drops something, it drops like this. It falls down. Lands here. Boom, it falls down. So when we were up on that mountain, and there were projectiles coming at us, like being thrown. So if I do this, that quarter's over there now. Not there, over there. There were projectiles being thrown at us during the night. And as hard as it is to believe, there's no humans out there. He never questioned that. He said, there could be a possible other reason for it, but it's not, because it's not a piece of rock rolling down the mountain. And I know that terrain like the back of my hand. Where those rocks came from, where they were falling from, they were coming across the mountain. So it's too bad that we didn't have that ability to converse about that, because I would have illuminated him to my perspective. He thinks I was being overzealous. I was not. Nothing throws rocks. I get it all the time. Bears don't throw rocks. Squirrels don't throw rocks. Deer don't throw rocks. Squirrels drop things. Animals walking at high altitude, rocks will roll down, but not projectiled across the mountain instead of down. So there was significant reasons for me to say that. I don't say things like that lightly. And as my expeditioners are learning, as people that go out with me realize, when I say it's a Sasquatch, and I damn well know what I'm talking about. And I'll back it up with evidence by going and showing you the tracks and showing the brook. When I hear a big snap, and we go over there, and there's a busted tree break, and there's a Sasquatch track on the ground, it's a Sasquatch. Just a month ago, I put up a video where there's a big, huge rock knock, and we went over there, found the rock that was used to rock knock, and Sasquatch tracks on the ground. And nobody's questioning that it's anything other than a Sasquatch. We know it's Sasquatch out there. We couldn't make those sounds. We couldn't do those breaks. It's a Sasquatch. So, and then this episode continues on a little more to go into, we're helicoptering around. So I was beside the pilot since I was the guide. And for some reason they wanted to helicopter up to the top of the mountain to get there without the death hike, as I call it. And there was just no way. So we helicoptered around up there. We had a little emergency situation happen that got pretty scary. I was supposed to have a lot of confidence in that helicopter because he was a pilot with, decades of experience. But this is crazy terrain. When you look at the episode, the mountains that we're at and the turbulence and the wind currents that come up there are insane. I've seen it. And it put us in a lot of trouble. So, of course, we couldn't land anywhere, but it was good for TV. It's good fun. Let's go up there and see if we can try to land on the side of a mountain that's like 85 degrees to 75 degrees. Not going to land there. Helicopter would land there, would just slide right off, and we would die. So obviously we had to end up hiking there. So let me go back to the footage, and let's see what more we can deduce here. You have to be an elite of the elite. This is the pinnacle of what human beings are capable of. And the only ones that are beyond our capabilities are the Sasquatch. This is where they live. Welcome to my favorite research spot. Welcome to Sasquatch country. And through this episode, through this sequence, you talk about, listen to what the man's saying. He's giving really good advice. Conserve your energy. You see him exhausted. You better believe everybody gets exhausted on this hike. It's straight up the mountain. It's a brutal death hike. I only take the toughest of the toughest people up there. First time I took expeditioners up there was just a couple years ago. And I only took, the first time we successfully made it up to the top. That's another thing, is when the weather kicks your ass, especially in the fall, it can snow a lot. And it's just so dangerous. You can't get up there in the snow. And if it starts snowing when you're up there, you better get your ass down in a big hurry, because once that ice and snow comes in, you are never going to get down that mountain alive. It's that dangerous. People don't go up there. You're going into the middle of nowhere where people don't go. I'm not pulling any. If you think there's, you'll hear nothing on this episode. There's no airplanes flying over. There's no people around there. There's no vehicles driving by. There's nothing. There's no chainsaws. There's no activity of any kind. No logging. There's nothing anywhere near this area. You're in the absolute backcountry, middle of nowhere, where no human being has ever gone before. Have a nice day. And you need to know as well, it wasn't our intention just to do 2 nights. We were going to do a lot more than that, but he came out there, I believe he was out there for 5 days at least, maybe 6, and the weather kicked our butts. We couldn't get up there, and then you saw the helicopter thing, but we tried to do a lot more, because the first year he only spent 1 night up there with me, 1 night only, and we had that incredible interaction and the calls to us and everything. So anyways, what he doesn't talk about in this episode is in his 2 nights. So he spends the first night with me, and then he spends a night all by himself alone. And often when we were out there, he goes off on his own a lot. He got to the top of the mountain before me. He went a different way, which was cool with me. And then, he found that track. Guys, The track you find that he was, a little on the fence on, then he starts to see the toes. That's a Sasquatch track, but it's a boom track. The Sasquatch called themselves the Boom, and that track was left purposely there for us 100%. But I think it was done, I know it was done a year previous, so it was a big stomping foot mark in the ground. That was not a bear. There were toes. It's a Sasquatch track. I don't know what to tell you. Have a nice day. I've been tracking for 20 years. It's a Sasquatch track. Clear as day. There on the ground. Les found it. He got there before me. And again, remember, he's all over the place. All doing things on his own all the time. Finding his own way. You understand? Like, I'm not influencing him like people think. And I can't. He's Survivorman. I admire the guy. He's a teacher and mentor of mine. I'm not influencing him. I'm teaching him what I know. And, we're having excellent success. So the other thing is that he doesn't talk about, he mentions it later, is I heard 2 wood knocks, clear as day. When he was lying down and going to sleep, I was up and I had my ear to the sound. And I heard 2, they weren't wood knocks, they were 2 popping sounds. So I knew they were there. And, so I was happy they took all the apples. They took everything, man. But, that was amazing, and it all came together really well in that first night. The other thing I want to talk about too, so he finds tracks. I hear the wood knocks. They'd thrown a rock at us before. This is all happening within the scope of the 4 days he's out there and the 2 nights he's up on the mountain with me. But you understand we found a hare? Like, I put up those traps he talks about, those hare traps that I made from the indigenous species and plants that live there. We found hares, and those were analyzed as an unknown species. No big deal. So for those of you who don't think, I get DNA, I get tracks, I get eyewitness sightings, I get video footage of them. I have people, the list of what we're accomplishing is just, it's unending. The only thing I have not done is come back with a body. That's it. So I can get better footage, and that's coming. Don't worry. Because the results we're getting right now are absolutely fantastic. So, but the hares were totally amazing. And then the fact that all the apples were taken was absolutely fantastic. It's very clear. So he goes in the episode there about, the potential that I went down there and took them. And obviously, I would never do that. But, and that's substantiated because a pika knocked that camera over. And, pikas just roam around on the ground. They're little foraging brats. They're just little tiny... like rodents, and obviously it didn't take the apples. There's no chance of that, in case people are wondering. Those are big, red, delicious apples. I've seen pikas go after those apples, and they'll just nibble on them a bit. They can't remove them, because we jam them on those branches hard. Like, those apples are not just high, but they're jammed on there hard, and they were all gone. So what did happen, just based on deductive reasoning and logic, is a pika went and knocked the camera over, and then the Sasquatch came after that and took the apples. So that's simply what happened. The next day I'm gone, so people, preposterously asking these ridiculous questions. Maybe Todd was around and took the apples again. Todd was at the bottom of the mountain with his film crew, and Todd knew the Sasquatch were up there again. Todd saw the Sasquatch come around down at base camp, I don't know, a 7-hour hike from where he was. Literally, I went down to the bottom, nobody questions. The crew knows I was there with them on the ground. A couple, I don't want to get into this too much, but, there's a guy from the crew I didn't get along with very well, who was just a very civilized, domesticated person, and we don't see eye to eye, to say the least. And the Sasquatch came around, and I remember even I went out 50 yards and just sat there and just told the Sasquatch and sent him out that intent. It's not about me. Go up to the mountain, go see Survivorman. He's the big story tonight. Don't hang out here. Don't come visit me. And obviously, to a certain extent, that's clearly what happened, because that's the top of the head. I'll show that footage at length. You can have a good hard look at it. And I also wanted to talk about something that's tremendously significant. Is people ask me, and one of my favorite questions to be asked is, do you ever see that the Sasquatch have a sense of humor, that they're funny? Well, they come and sit on you. And Survivorman talked about that in the episode, how it really felt like something came and sat on him. And that's what they do. He never mentioned that to me when he came down the mountain. I never saw it till the episode. And afterwards, I just I wish I would have seen him in person and told him. I'd just shake him by the shoulders, for God's sake, they do that. That was really important for him to discuss that with me. And how they do that. I've talked about it on my live shows many times. They'll literally what they'll do is they'll walk past you and you don't do anything. Then they'll walk closer past you. Then they'll walk over top of you. And if you still don't do anything, and Survivorman and I can be deep sleepers at certain times. Just, and a Sasquatch can walk by you very quietly. You wouldn't even notice it. So silently walk past, silently walk over you. If he walks over you, the next thing he's going to do is come up, walk on you, and then squat down and put his butt on you. They just it's sitting on you, I guess. That's exactly what happened to him, and that's happened to me half a dozen times. I've lost track, to be honest. They do that. I wake up with them sitting on me. They come and sit on me on my sleeping bag. They've sat on my feet, on my knees, towards the head. They do it. They sit on you like that. So, and what they'll do is they'll plan to walk off in a spot. So by the time you pull out, they're basically walking in the trees because you're sitting in the wilderness. So, and then this footage is two things that are extremely important, and really understand this. So those are big, heavy trees. I can't make those branches shake. So you'd have to be a very heavy, giant, because people are thinking maybe a bird or something. I don't know why you would think a bird could rip that apple off there, but it's not. There's no birds. It can't have been done. Obviously, a bird is removed from the equation, though. When you see the top of the head of a Sasquatch, that's a Sasquatch head. Looks just like my Jake footage. Just looks like the Patterson footage. The top of the head of a Sasquatch. He filmed it. Here it is. Have a look at it. And, tree shaking is enormously important. I went back there, tried to shake that tree. It doesn't happen. That tree is 3 feet on the base. It's enormous. You're not moving that tree. You don't kick it and shake a branch. So, very clearly, I mean, is it profound evidence? Yes. I mean, to me, it's absolutely enormous evidence. There is no other explanation. You're looking at the top of the head of a Sasquatch. It's a small Sasquatch. I call him Jacob. This is my little Jacob Sasquatch. He's big now. He's got like a 16-inch track. He's gotten really, really big. Back at this time, he was about 11-inch track. I have to check my notes to be precise. But he's a big dude now. He's my number one guy that I interact with in this day and age. In 2021, he was my boy. In 2022, it's him that I expect to get the best footage I've ever got in my whole life this year. That's what my plan is. That's what I'm hoping for. But really go through it. We found hair that had DNA. We found tracks. We had a live interaction, like apples were taken by Sasquatch. I mean, come on. The evidence is overwhelming. Survivorman is amazing, and he does us a justice by looking at both sides of the equation. I'm not both sides of the equation. I know it's the top of the head of a Sasquatch. If you're skeptical about that, I mean, and nobody's doing any analysis of this, nobody's looking at this, why not? Have a look at it. It's real. He got footage of a Sasquatch. A Sasquatch took apples. I have nothing else to say. Thanks for tuning in for my Throwback Thursday video. Survivorman filmed a Sasquatch, showed Jeff Meldrum a Sasquatch, live interacted with people, taking people out, showing the Sasquatch. This year we had multiple sightings. Last year we had multiple sightings, and it's just growing and expanding, and I'll get new footage, and the discovery's coming. Be excited, Don't just get excited. Feel the energy of it. The discovery is truly happening. I'm not going anywhere. This discovery is coming forward, and thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you Sunday. So remember, I have Sasquatch Sunday. This is my Throwback Thursday. And then, of course, I'm live on Wednesdays. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Take care until then.